Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the Anonsuo wallet speaker. This was a product that was released through Kickstarter originally, and now it's made its way to Amazon and sells for about $30. It's a Bluetooth speaker that's shaped like a wallet. So if you think about it, it's not going to be as thin as you may originally think. It's not shaped like a card, it's not ultra slim. It's about the same thickness, in fact, as a regular wallet that has already been stuck with cards and money inside. So it's a little bit boxy, but it does have still a very small overall dimension that you can put into a pocket or into a backpack. It also has the same texture and color as leather, which is brown, and so it definitely will remind you of something like a wallet. So in the packaging here, you do have what looks like a information card from the company. This is what the speaker looks like, as you can see there. And there's also a instruction manual that's documented. It looks like all in Chinese, unfortunately. And down below here we have the speaker itself. We'll take a closer look at it in a second. And we also have a micro USB cable for charging. It takes about 2 hours to completely charge, and the battery life is rated at around 9 hours of playback before you need to recharge it again. There's also a 3.5mm auxiliary cable if you don't want to use wireless Bluetooth. All right, so taking a look at the design of the speaker here, again, it does have a relatively premium build. We have a mesh of materials from the leather. It's a synthetic leather material on the back that gives it a nice texture, so you can set it on a surface and it won't glide around or move quite as easily. But on the front, what looks like leather is actually made out of aluminum, so it has a slightly sturdier feel. All these slight ridges are where the dual drivers will come out of. It's a stereo speaker, and on the top you can also see a leather strap for carrying it. There's a Alonso logo. We have very chamfered edges that are super shiny, pretty sharp edges as well. There's a volume rocker on the top and a power switch, which are all made out of aluminum and have a pretty good tactile feedback when you're tapping and using them. The side here also features a 3.5mm cable for auxiliary, micro USB for charging, and there's also a full-size USB. So you can actually use this as a power bank. It can replace a battery pack in addition to being a speaker, which is actually a pretty cool feature. Now, none of these ports are covered up, so this is not materials that is water resistant by any means. You don't want to get this wet, you don't want to drop it into water, just things to really quickly keep in mind. Now, because the edges really are so sharp, it does mean it can also fully stand up on a surface on various dimensions, so you can position it in different ways. It doesn't have to just lie flat. Furthermore, on the side here, there's also a flashlight feature, which is very cool. This is a feature that we typically see in power banks, so on a speaker, it's a little bit more rare, but I can tap on it once to illuminate a very bright LED flashlight, which is also quite energy efficient, and I can also tap on it once more to start an SOS or a strobe light mode for emergencies, and I can tap on it again to turn it off. On the top, you'll also find an LED light array that will tell you the status of the battery. So full bars means that it's completely charged, and each time you lose an LED, you lose about 25% of the battery. Again, it has a 4,000 milliamp hour capacity, which is actually quite large if you think about it. And the only way to access these indicators is if you plug in a USB cable. I do wish that you can just tap on the power key to very quickly glance at it, but that doesn't seem to be possible in my quick hands-on testing so far. So what you can do is plug it into another cell phone, for instance, or onto any tablet, and the charging will start automatically. You can see the lights are on. It will continuously be on during the charging time. In terms of the performance of the charging, in my quick testing, it seems to do all right. I would say that it gives you an output of 5 volt, it seems like 1 amp instead of 5 volt 2.1 amps. That will give you slower charging rates than on a regular power bank with 2.1 amps. So especially if you're charging larger phones and phablets, maybe with a giant 4,000 milliamp hour battery of its own, that will take quite a long time. But for a standard sized phone, maybe with a 2,000, 3,000 milliamp hour pack, it will be fully charged up in around 2.5 hours or so in my testing. It's a smart charger, so once charging has reached 100% on the phone, it's going to stop automatically. So it doesn't really get hot, it doesn't overcharge, things like that. So it performs all right as a charger, but it's not something like a Qualcomm quick charge enabled product, so don't expect lightning fast juice ups, but it's a nice little bonus feature built in. right, so pausing the sample there, the overall takeaway is the audio quality is fairly good. Now, it's not the most clean sounding speaker in the world. If you listen very closely, it does tend to distort a little bit higher volumes. It doesn't give you the crystal clear audio quality of more expensive high fidelity speakers on the market. So you'll hear a little bit of that hissing, a little bit of that static as you push the volume to the max, or if you pause the music and listen really closely, you'll hear that for a few seconds. But overall, it sounds actually good enough for most folks to play, let's say, pop music, electronic music. Surprisingly, there is the presence of a bit of bass. It's not going to be earth-shattering, but it seems like there is a small passive radiator on there, as you heard in the bass drop there. The lower frequencies, it does still vibrate and slightly shake the speaker. So okay in terms of lower frequency sounds. Mids and highs though do sound actually fairly good, and it can get relatively loud. We were only roughly at 70% volume there, and it seems to do a good job. You can double tap on the volume keys on the top here to actually skip tracks. To go next, you can long hold for a few seconds to turn the volume up or turn the volume down. So it makes for a pretty enjoyable movie speaker as well. Obviously it packs more volume, it packs a richer bass than any smartphone speaker could possibly deliver, so it is a pretty good upgrade in that sense. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised, I would say, by this wallet speaker. For something that seems to be more design focused, it actually has quite a few clever tricks up its sleeve. The construction quality actually is very good with that aluminum frame, chamfered edges, the fact that it has an LED flashlight in addition to working as a power bank are all highlights. Also, the sound quality was, again, better than expected, especially because there is the presence of some bass. A lot of times with these really slim, small speakers, oftentimes there won't be a passive radiator, so for lower frequencies, you won't be able to hear that, thump at all, but on here it's actually surprisingly present, and overall it's a pretty good mini speaker to complement a phone or tablet when you're on the go. Thanks for watching this video here at OS Reviews. This was the Anonsuo wallet speaker.